Long ago, before clocks ticked and chimneys smoked, in the heart of a sleepy village tucked between forest and field, there lay a well made of pale gray stone, weathered by time and loved by rain. The villagers called it simply the rain. To most, it was just a place where water gathered after storms. But those who listened closely, those who came during misty evenings or quiet mornings after thunder, they would tell you a different story, a softer story, one of dreams and notes and lullabies. You see, the rain well did not echo like others. No, when raindrops touched its rim, when mist danced above its surface, it would sing, not loud like a songbird, but low and long and soft, like someone humming a tune they half remember from childhood. Soothing, hypnotic, endlessly drifting. And some believed that if you fell asleep near the well while it sang, your dreams would take you to places forgotten by time. Two memories, not your own. To comfort beyond understanding. The story of the well was told best by an old woman named Edie, who lived in the cottage just beyond the ivy-covered wall that circled the courtyard. Ida was known for her mint teas, her cloud-soft shawls, and the way her voice could hush a crying child in seconds. Every time it rained, she would open her creaky shutters, wrap herself in wool, and sit beside the well under a blue-dappled umbrella. She'd close her eyes and listen to the well song, to the hush of the leaves, to the rhythm of water kissing stone. Each note is a memory, she used to say, her voice like velvet and dust. And each memory is a gift. That's why the well sings when no one speaks. The children of the village adored Ida, not just for her stories, but for the way her silence was never empty. It was full of feeling, of understanding, of presence. On rainy days, when puddles formed and cloaks dripped, they would gather near her with closed eyes, listening with hearts open wide, not moving, not whispering, just breathing with the rain. It's said that the well was built over an old sleeping place, a resting place of a bard who wandered the realm with nothing but a harp and a heart full of lullabies. When the bard passed, villagers buried him with his harp, and each stone of the well was carved from the cliffs he once sang beside. Some say the music you hear is the harp's voice, weeping gently in the rain, still cradling the bard's dreams. Others believed the stones themselves remembered songs, that in medieval times, when cathedrals were built and monks hummed Gregorian chants, some believed stone had memory, that it could carry the vibration of voice and echo it back across centuries if only you listened deeply enough. Let the thought drift through you now. Imagine rain, tapping gently against Moscovet stone. Tap, tap, each drop a tiny drumbeat, each puddle a soft pool of lullabies. And there, at the center, the rain well hums, not to be heard with ears, but with the heart to move. The village knew not to speak while the well sang. Voices, they said, might scatter the notes, might chase away the dreaming spirit. So during rain, the whole courtyard became silent. Even the sparrows seemed to hush. Even the breeze tiptoed past. And if you lay so still on the stone bench beside the well, it said you'd feel the sound in your bones. Not like thunder, not like music, but like someone breathing beside you, gently, slowly, lovingly, a guardian of sleep. One young girl, Mira, a baker's daughter with eyes the color of twilight, was especially fond of the well. She could hear it even when others could not. It's not just rain, she whispered once to Ida. It sings me stories of castles that breathe fog, of clocks that count backward, of stars that weep into rivers. Ida only smiled, handing her a warm cup of honey milk, and said softly, "Then you are blessed by the dreaming stone, child." And Mira. She began to dream deeper, longer. Her sleep grew thick like velvet, and her dreams became vivid tapestries of color and sound. Sometimes she'd wake and write what she saw: a silver stag with golden hooves, a ship made of feathers that sailed through moonlight, a garden of floating lanterns, each glowing with laughter, all born from the song of the rain. Pause and soften tone. You may be feeling yourself drift already, just as Mira did, just as the old stones hoped you would. Let yourself go. Let the hum wrap around you. Let the breath of rain pull you closer to the well, to its stories, to sleep. Hum. The well is still singing, and our tale has only just begun. There was something different about the rain in that village. It never fell in anger, never rushed or pounded. It whispered, as if the sky, too, was trying not to disturb the well's lullaby. And the villagers, they welcomed every drizzle with open arms, pulling shutters wide, letting their fires crackle low, sipping cinnamon broth beside the glass, listening. It became a ritual. On rainy evenings, when candles flickered low and boots lined the walls, families would gather near their hearts and tell stories that the well had sent them in sleep. One man dreamed of a door hidden beneath the roots of an ash tree. A woman dreamt of a staircase made of feathers that vanished with each step. Another dreamt of a songbird that taught her to fly not through sky, but through memory. And all of them woke rested, changed, somehow like rain had washed not just the land, but the edges of their minds, softening every sharp thought. But not all who heard the well believed in magic. Some, like the village priest, Father Ronan, believed the well was a temptation, a distraction from the word of the divine. He would mutter, "Dreams are for fools, and rain is just weather." He never sat by the well, never listened, never dreamed. But even Father Ronan, when he walked across the courtyard during a drizzle, would pause, just for a moment, as if something in the hum made his heart skip. A note so soft, it brushed against a memory too distant to name. On one special night, a night when the clouds held back for hours before bursting open with gentle rhythm, Edda felt something stir in the stones. She called Miara. The girl came barefoot, her cloak loose around her shoulders, eyes already glassy from the sound she'd felt humming in the air all day. "It's singing stronger tonight," Mira whispered. Edda nodded. The dreaming grows thick in the summer rains. When the earth is warm and open, the well hums deeper. "Close your eyes, child. Let it in." And so Mira sat by the well. She curled onto the stone bench, the one with ivy crawling along its edge, and she let her head tilt toward the sound. Rain tapped gently against her cheeks. Wind slipped soft fingers through her hair. And then the world let go. In her dream, she stood beside the well, but it was no longer stone. It shimmered with starlight, its sides fluid and glowing, like moonlight woven into glass. Around her, the courtyard stretched on forever. No rooftops, no cottages. Just rain falling in slow spirals, each droplet a crystal orb that sang as it passed. The well began to hum. Not one note, but many. A chord, deep and round and endless, vibrating through her chest like a heartbeat. And then she heard the voice. Not from above, not from beside her, from within. "Thank you for listening." The voice was soft and ancient. It did not speak in words, exactly, but in emotion, like a memory wrapped in warmth, or a lullaby hummed without beginning or end. And with it came visions. She saw the bard, centuries ago, walking with bare feet along mossy paths, his harp cradled in one arm, his eyes filled with longing. He played not for crowds, but for the trees, the stones, the clouds. He played to calm the world. And when he grew old, he built the well, stone by stone, with hands cracked from time and a heart too full for silence. He poured music into it not by magic, but by memory, by love, by reverence for stillness. Back in the dream, Mira touched the rim of the glowing well. It pulsed under her fingers like a living thing, breathing rain and mist. And when she leaned forward, she did not see her reflection. She saw stars, whole galaxies spinning slowly in the water's surface, each one humming a different note. And she understood. The well didn't hold water. It held dreams. It held echoes of peace, of bedtime stories told long ago, of lullabies sung beneath straw roofs, of hopes whispered by tired souls before sleep. She awoke just before dawn. The rain had stopped, mist hovered low, and the well sat quiet again, as if nothing had happened. Edda was still beside her, eyes half closed, a slight smile on her face. "You heard it," she whispered. Mira nodded. "It knows you now," Ida added, "and you'll carry its hum inside you, wherever you go." And from that morning on, Mira began to change. Her voice became softer, but fuller, as if each word she spoke carried music unseen. She began to write lullabies, poems, stories. Children begged to hear them before sleep. Adults found themselves drifting off beside candlelight, her words painting images behind their eyes as the world hushed to listen. And the well, it kept singing whenever it rained, its hum wrapped around the village like a gentle shawl. Generations passed, but the rain well remained, and every so often, someone would hear the hum a little more clearly, a little more deeply, and be changed by it. And so it continues, even now, perhaps, if you listen very closely, beneath the quiet, beneath your breath, you'll hear it too, the well that sung in rain. Now, as you listen, notice how your breath has grown soft, how each exhale carries away any remaining tension, and each inhale brings calm, like mist drifting over still water. Let your mind float, like a feather caught on a rainy breeze, and return with me to the courtyard where stone remembers song. Long after Mira shared her lullabies, the little village became a place of quiet pilgrimage. Travelers arrived with soaked cloaks and hopeful hearts, seeking the well's tranquil melody, a respite from clattering cities, from restless thoughts, from burdens too heavy to carry alone. They came in silence, eyes downcast in respect, and formed a circle around the mossy stones. No one spoke, no one moved. They knelt or sat, hands folded, and simply listened. One traveler was a scribe named Alaric, who chronicled wonders of distant lands. He sat cross-legged, quill in hand, but found his parchment blank, for how could words describe a song that lived between raindrops? He closed his eyes and let the well write in his mind, sketching pictures of dripping eaves, of wine-swept branches, of liquid silver notes. When he opened his eyes, his parchment was filled not with ink, but with tiny droplets that shimmered before fading away. He blinked and realized some stories were meant only for the heart. Nearby, a young knight named Sir Edrin arrived on a quest, not for glory, but for rest. He'd spent years patrolling Colram, his armor clanking through sleepless nights, haunted by the distant echoes of battle. He dismounted quietly, set aside his sword, and stood before the well, humbly, as one might stand before an old friend. The rain began to fall in soft curtains, and the well greeted him. It hummed low, like armor sliding off weary shoulders, like wind sighing through open gates, and Sir Idrin felt a relief he had never known. He closed his eyes, leaned his forehead against cool stone, and whispered, "I release you." And in that moment, the well carried away his burdens on its melody. When he rose, his armor felt lighter, his breath deeper, as if the well had taught him a new rhythm, one of rest, one of peace. Not far away, a pair of traveling minstrels, twin sisters with lutes carved from elderwood, came seeking inspiration. They'd grown tired of performing the same songs in bustling market squares. They hoped the rainwell would gift them something new. As they settled by the well, they plucked a single string, then another, and the notes wove into the rain's song, creating harmonies that had never existed before. They closed their eyes, listened to the meeting of raindrop and string, and in that union, they heard tales of distant kingdoms, of moonlit dances, of ghosts who wept tears of light. When the rain eased and the well fell silent, the sisters opened their eyes, their lutes humming softly in their arms, alive with new melodies that would lull audiences for years to come. But as word spread, not all who came understood the well's true gift. Some sought power, some sought miracles, some, desperate, tried to capture its water in silver chalices, believing each drop held eternal youth. They dipped gold cups, they circled with incantations, they even tried to drain the well's voice altogether. Yet, whenever the water left the stone, it lost its hum. When poured into metal, the liquid was merely water, cold, silent, no song remained. Ashamed, those seekers departed, leaving the well untouched, and the villagers restored its peace with whispered apologies and gentle chants, reminding all that some gifts are meant only to be received, not possessed. Even the priest, Father Ronan, eventually returned, not because he believed, but because he could not sleep. Nights had become long shadows, and prayers offered no comfort. One misty evening, he crept across the courtyard, cloak pulled tight, candle guttering in his hand. He stood at the edge of the well, heart pounding, faith warring with curiosity. He leaned in, he whispered to timid Emin, and as the rain began anew, he heard, "Ma." He tried to speak, but the sound caught in his throat, a melody too deep for words, and in that moment, Father Ronan felt the warmth of forgiveness and realized that even faith can be rocked gently by a lullaby. When he left, he did not speak of miracles. He spoke of mercy, of silence, of a song that transcended dogma. As seasons changed, the courtyard transformed with each passing year. In spring, wildflowers snuck through cracks in the stone, soft blues and purples nodding in the breeze, like tiny listeners drawn to the rainwell's gentle music. In summer, fireflies gathered at dusk, dancing around the well's rim, their glow mingling with raindrops to create shimmerings of light. In autumn, leaves spun down in spirals of gold, settling on the water's surface, creating ripples that sang as they floated. And in winter, when frost kissed the stones and breath turned to mist, the well hummed a hushed, crystalline lullaby, a promise that even cold can be soft. Tonight, as you lie here, perhaps far from that courtyard, perhaps with only these words to guide you, know that the rainwell's song travels beyond stone, beyond rain, beyond time. It lives in the hush, between your breaths, in the gentle rise and fall of your chest, in the quiet thought that drifts unbidden. Hum. Allow this melody to wrap around you. Let it cradle you as you drift deeper and deeper, gladly, softly, into sleep. Time in that village did not tick. It flowed, like the gentle arc of a rain droplet sliding down a window pane, or the slow stretch of dawn across dew-kissed roofs. There were no clocks in sight, no chimes, no hours, no rush, only rhythms of wind in trees, of boots in puddles, of the well's hum, soft and steady, like a lullaby carved from stillness itself. And those who stayed long enough, who truly listened, began to feel the change. The slowing, the uncoiling of tight thought, the way every breath became deeper, warmer, as though their very lungs were being sung to by the earth. In a stone cottage just behind the chapel lived an old bookbinder named Thad. His fingers were ink-stained and calloused, his back curved from years of binding stories that others had written. But secretly, Thalen dreamed of writing his own. One night, when the rain arrived, gentle as velvet, he wrapped himself in his mother's quilt and shuffled toward the well. He'd never dared come before. He thought it too fanciful, too full of fairy's breath. But the ache in his heart had grown louder than his logic. So he sat and waited. The well began to hum, and something inside him, quiet for years, opened. He dreamt he was inside a book, not reading it. He walked along pages that glowed like parchment soaked in sunlight, each one fluttering in a soft breeze. Words formed in the air before him, curling and dancing like candle smoke, telling him tales that he somehow already knew. A forest where snow never melted, a crow that spoke only to the lonely, a boy made of rain. And when he awoke, his hands were trembling, but his heart felt calm, like a lake after storm. That morning, he picked up his pen for the first time in decades and began to write, not for publishers, not for praise, just to remember what the well had sung to him. And so the well became not only a source of dreams, but of healing, a place where sorrow could melt quietly in the mist, where regrets could be folded like old letters and set gently afloat into memory. Some villagers said it wasn't the rain that made the well sing, but the collective longing of all who had ever sat beside it, their hopes, their hush, their quiet wishes whispered into the moss, wove into the stones, and the stones, in turn, remembered. And when the rain fell, those memories rose again, as music. One autumn, a blind girl named Leora came to the village. She was led by her older brother, Tomas, whose eyes never left hers as they wandered through the courtyard. Leora was quiet, but not timid. When she first heard the well's hum, during a passing drizzle, she turned her face toward it like a sunflower to the sun. "It's a voice," she whispered, "but it's made of light." Thomas didn't understand, but he watched as Leora walked, unafraid, to the edge of the well. She laid her palm against the stone and smiled, "It remembers me," she said. And her brother, who had never seen her so alive, believed her. That night, Leora dreamed. She saw not with eyes, but with sound. She stood inside a sky filled with threads of color, each tone painting ribbons of gold, blue, and violet. The well's hum was a path beneath her feet, solid and sure, and it led her to herself, to a version of her who danced in meadows, who ran through echoing halls of music, who painted the air with her hands. When she awoke, her first words were, "I've never seen so clearly." And from that day, her dreams guided her. She told stories no one else could imagine, because she didn't imagine them. She heard them, sung to her by the rain. Years passed, but the well never changed. Its stones grew greener with moss, its edges rounded smoother by time, but its song remained. Edda, the wise old woman who had tended it for so long, she stopped sitting outside during storms. She drank her tea slowly, her shawls thicker, her naps longer. One rainy afternoon, Myra, now older, her hair streaked with silver, came to visit. She sat by Ida's bed, listened to the patter of rain on the windows, and waited. Edda opened her eyes and smiled. "Has it started to hum?" Mira nodded. "Then I'll go now," Edda whispered, and closed her eyes. Outside, the well sang louder than it had in years, and those nearby said the hum had a new note in it, a thread of laughter, of warmth, of farewell. Ida was buried near the well, under a flowering tree that dropped pale blossoms in spring. And from that season forward, whenever it rained, petals drifted down into the water, and the hum of the well became sweeter. They say it was Ida's gift, to stay with the village, to stay with the dreamers, to stay with the rain. And so, even in sorrow, the courtyard remained a place of peace, because grief, too, was softened by the song, carried gently, gently into rest. The well sang, and the village listened, and the rain fell, softly, softly, always soft. Let your mind linger here a while longer. In this village that time forgot, in the cradle of mussy stones, with petals falling into dreaming water, breathe in the hush, breathe out the weight, and rest, dear listener. The well is singing, and you are safe. The night after Ida's passing, the village fell into an unusual silence. Even the owls in the forest did not call. Even the breeze moved slower, as if mourning gently. But the rain well did not weep. It sang, not a song of sadness, but of welcome, like an old friend returning home. Its notes curved through the mist like ribbons of silver, curling through chimneys, slipping beneath doors, wrapping every dreamer in quiet warmth. The villagers said they slept deeper that night than they had in years, and in their dreams they saw her, Edda, in a garden of stars, pouring tea for the bard who had built the well. It was around this time that Mira began writing a book, not a book of stories, but a book of sounds. She called it the Rain Codex. Each chapter described not just the hum of the well, but the feeling of it, how the tone shifted with seasons, with moods, with prayers left in silence. She wrote of the time it sang in 3 layers, a harmony so subtle you'd only hear the 3rd note if your heart was quiet. She detailed the sound of petals hitting water, of larks nesting on its rim, of frost singing along with the stones, and most importantly, she wrote of the space between notes, how silence itself was a verse in the well's lullaby. Pilgrims began arriving again, not with burdens this time, but with reverence. They did not seek healing. They sought harmony, balance, stillness. Many stayed. Some built cottages along the orchard path. Others offered food and firewood to the keepers of the courtyard. One woman, Lydia calligrapher from the southern coast, arrived in winter and never left. She painted on leaves, on bark, on glass. She claimed the well gave her visions, not of things, she whispered, but of spaces between things. It teaches how to see the unseen. Her brushstrokes became waves of ink that resembled ripples, echoes, raindrops never touching the ground. That spring, something new happened. A boy, no older than 5, wandered toward the well during a quiet drizzle. His name was Emmerich, He had not yet spoken a word in his life. His parents chased after him, but froze when they saw what he did. The boy placed both palms on the stones, his little fingers spread wide, and began to hum. It matched the well perfectly, not just in pitch, but in presence, as if he were answering an ancient call. And when the rain slowed, Emmerich turned to his mother, smiled, and whispered, "It remembers me too." From that moment, Emmerich spoke only in whispers. He said loud voices startled the dreaming stones. He grew to be a quiet boy, but radiant. He could calm animals. He once stood beneath a howling storm, and with a single note, stilled the wind for a moment. The villagers called him the Echo Child. Some believed he was the Bard reborn. Others thought he was simply pure enough to hear the realm more clearly than any before. But Emmerich said only one thing when asked how he did it. "I just listen." Let those words settle into you now. I just listen. Feel the echo of that idea in your body. The gentle invitation to do less, to hear more. Let yourself soften, like moss, beneath bare feet, like parchment warmed by candlelight. The hum of the well continues, just beneath this moment, beneath your breath, beneath your thoughts. It does not ask for attention. It waits, patient, loyal, ready when you are still enough to hear. As Mira aged, she passed her book to Emmerich. "You'll finish it," she said, pressing the codex into his hands. "I wrote what I heard, but you are the hum." Emmerich nodded. No need for words, no need for ceremony. He placed the book beside the well, inside a tiny alcove beneath the largest stone, a hidden chamber, long forgotten, filled with dry moss and petals. He wrapped it in waxed cloth and whispered, "Let only the dreamers find it." Then he turned and sat, day after day, rain after rain, and each time the sky cried, so too did the well sing. And Emmerich hummed alongside it, not louder, not softer, just with it, like a candle with its flame, like a story with its silence. Eventually, the village became known as the Sleepwood Hamlet, a place spoken of in inns and marketplaces, a name murmured by weary travelers, by poets, by those who had forgotten how to rest, and those who came, they stayed, not to escape, but to remember, to feel again what it meant to be quiet, to be small, to be whole. And now, here you are, perhaps not beside the well in body, but here in spirit, hearing its song through these words, through your breath, through the slowing beat of your heart. Let the hum stay with you as sleep finds you now. Let it wrap around your limbs like the softest cloak, a lullaby without end. Hum. You are safe. You are home. Years slipped by like droplets sliding across ancient stone, and still the rain well hummed a chill and grew into keepers. Travelers became villagers. Mira, long since returned to Stardust, was remembered not in portraits or statues, but in petals, lavender ones, scattered in the courtyard garden each spring, planted by Emmerich in silence as the well sang overhead. Time no longer moved forward in the village. It simply flowed. There were no bells, no calendars, only rain, only the rhythm of water meeting stone, and the dreams that followed. One dusk, when the sky was painted with brushstrokes of amethyst and ash, a strange visitor arrived. She wore a coat of pale wool and carried no name, just a long wooden staff, etched with tiny spirals, and eyes, the color of mountain fog. She said nothing, not when Emmerich greeted her, not when she was offered tea or warmth. She simply stood in the rain, face lifted, listening, and then she stepped toward the well and placed her hand upon it. Instantly, the hum deepened. A new tone joined the old one, like a cello finding its twin. Low, resonant, endless. Emmerich's eyes widened. He had heard this tone before, but only in his deepest dreams, a sound that seemed to echo through the bones of the earth itself. He whispered, "You've been here before." She did not answer in words. She just hummed, and the courtyard stilled, even the rain pausing, as her voice met the well's song, note for note, breath for breath. The villagers gathered, silent as ever, watching the duet unfold. And though the woman never spoke, everyone knew she was a guardian of the well, of dreams, of what came before. Some said she was the bard's daughter. Others said she was the spirit of the first raindrop to ever fall. It didn't matter. She became known only as the humming one. And like the rain, she came and went without warning, sometimes months apart, sometimes years, but always, when she arrived, the dreams grew stronger. One dream shared by many villagers during her visit was this: a vast hall carved beneath the earth, stone columns curved like tree trunks, pools of still water on the ground, reflecting constellations that no longer existed in the sky, and, at the center, a whale, identical to the one in the courtyard above, except this one didn't hum. It breathed in and out like the earth itself was asleep, dreaming alongside those who walked its skin. When they awoke, each dreamer whispered the same thing: "The world has a heart, and it sings." Let those words settle in you now. The world has a heart, and it sings. Feel your own heart beating, not fast, not slow, just steady, patient, like a drum in a distant temple, like a lullaby too old to name. You are part of that rhythm. You always have been. Your breath, your stillness, your sleep, they are all part of the same ancient hum. Emmerich grew old, but he did not fade. His hair silvered, his eyes soft, his voice never raised above a whisper, but his presence grew stronger. He sat beside the well each rain, as always, and hummed, until one day he didn't. The humming stopped. The villagers found him in the morning, eyes closed, palms resting on the stone, smiling. He had passed, not with sorrow, but with song. And when the next rain came, the well sang with two voices again. The villagers wept, not from grief, but from gratitude, for what Emmerich had taught them, without ever trying to teach: how to listen, how to hush, how to dream deeply. A new keeper was chosen, a child born during Emmerich's final spring. Her name was Solin. From the moment she could crawl, she was drawn to the courtyard. She touched stones like old friends. She slept best during thunderstorms. At age 6, she was caught alone beside the well. But instead of being afraid, she was smiling. "They're telling me secrets," she said. The villagers didn't ask who they were. They already knew. The stones, the rain, the dreamers who came before. And now, as this story settles in your mind, like soft petals falling onto still water, let your breath slow further. The well is singing for you now. Its hum curling through your ribs, down your spine, into the soles of your feet. It is a hum of memory, of comfort, of sleep. You are not separate from the story. You are inside it, listening, as Emmerich once did, as Mira once did, as Ida did long ago. Let go of thought, let go of shape. Become mist, become silence, become the song. The rain well remembers you. It always has, and it always will. Solin, the new keeper, did not speak often. She didn't need to. She listened to wind across stone, to the drip of rain through orchard leaves, to footsteps in the silence, to the well's song, which shifted each time People wondered, was she shaping the melody? Or was the melody shaping her? No one could say, but when she walked through the village, birds quieted, children watched in, and the very air around her felt slower, as if time bowed to her stillness. One summer night, during the longest rain of the year, Solin did something no keeper had ever done. She climbed inside the well. The rain had stopped for just a moment. Mist swirled in the courtyard. And in that pause, as everyone slept, she stepped over the rim and disappeared into the singing stone. No splash, no sound, only silence. And then, a new note, one no one had heard before. It was not high or low, not sad or joyful. It was something older than language, something so full it could only be felt. Every sleeper in the village stirred, not in fear, but in recognition, as though a missing piece had returned. At dawn, Solin emerged, soaked.com/eyes shining like polished riverstone. She carried nothing, but her presence had changed. Someone asked gently, "What did you find?" She whispered, "I found the dreaming place." And that was all she said. From then on, The well's hum grew clearer, as if it trusted them more now, as if the stones knew they were heard. Visitors who came after swore the melody began before the rain, like the well could sense their longing. And when the raindrops finally fell, it felt like a welcome, a soft knocking on the door of sleep. Let that door open now, in your mind, gently. No need to turn a handle, no need to force, just breathe and imagine it creaking inward. Slow, warm light spilling into the shadows of your thoughts. And there, on the other side, is the courtyard, still, timeless. You walk barefoot. The stones are cool beneath your feet. Raindrops kiss your shoulders like tiny blessings. You feel no fear, only belonging. You've been here before, perhaps not in body, but in dreams. The well hums hum, and it knows your name. One Travella, an old sailor named Jaren, once said the well's hum reminded him of the ocean at night. The sea doesn't shout in the dark, he said. It breathes, and that's what this well does. It breathes. He slept by it every night of that autumn, and on his final morning, he left behind a seashell. Inside it was carved, "You don't need wind to sail in dreams." The shell rests on the well's edge to this day, and when the rain falls just right, water collects in it and sings. There is no end to the dreams born here. A girl dreamed of a bridge woven from rainbows. A monk dreamed of a wolf who recited poetry in Latin. An old widow dreamed of her husband holding her hand in silence. Just holding it. When she woke, her eyes were wet, but her heart was light. The well doesn't just sing of wonder. It sings of what was and what could have been and what still might come, and it sings it softly. So only those ready to hear truly do. And now, as your body sinks deeper, as your breath becomes even, and your eyelids grow heavier, feel that you are no longer listening to the story. You are in it, part of it, woven into its song. You are the hush before the hum. You are the mist that wraps the stones. You are the dream that floats above the water. And you are held deeply, completely, held by the story, by the silence, by the hum. Tonight, as you sleep, perhaps the well will find you. Perhaps you'll walk the garden of stars with Ida, or hear Mira's lullabies echoing across distant valleys. Perhaps Emmerich will sit beside you, humming softly, not with words, but with presence. And perhaps Solin will meet you at the rim of the dreaming well, her hand outstretched, welcoming you to listen deeper, still deeper, where there is no fear, no sorrow, only rain and hem, and the quiet, knowing that all is well. Breathe now, like the earth does, like the well does, slow, round, eternal. You are not alone. You never were. The dreaming place is always there, just beyond the noise. Wait in, hum, sleep now, sleep well. The well is singing just for you. It was said in the later years that the rain well song could be heard even in dry seasons, but only by those who had once heard it in the rain. They called it the ghost hum, soft, faint, only caught at the edge of waking, a lingering note in the mind just before dawn. And those who heard it, they were marked, not visibly, but inwardly. They moved differently through the world, spoke slower, laughed deeper, carried peace with them like a hidden lantern, lighting the hearts of those they met. There was a phrase the villagers began to use whenever someone awoke with new calm in their eyes. You've walked a rainward path. They didn't mean a road, not one made of dirt or stone. They meant the path through sleep, through the well's song that gently realigned the soul. A path not toward escape, but toward remembering, because the song never added anything to you. It simply returned what you had forgotten, that you were soft, that you were stead, that you were whole. Solon, now grown and wise, rarely spoke of what she saw inside the well that one rainy night. But on her 50th birthday, a child asked her, "What lives in the bottom of the rainwell?" Solon knelt, smiled, and whispered, "Everything that was ever loved quietly." Then she kissed the child's forehead, and the courtyard hummed with a note so gentle. The leaves themselves seemed to lean closer. Let your own thoughts quiet now. Let them fall like petals. No need to chase them. No need to hold. Just let them drift. You are not your thoughts. You are the silence that watches them pass. You are the listener, the stillsant, the dreamer, and the well hums for you now. A lullaby with no ending, no beginning. Mum, you are safe, cradled in soft shadow, warmed by memory, held by silence. It said the rain wall was never built, but revealed that one morning, long ago, the bard simply brushed away the moss and mud to find the shape already waiting. Stone placed by time, moss woven by intention, a circle of listening, hidden until the world was ready to remember how to hush. And so the bard played, not to create magic, but to awaken what had always been, a truth not new, but eternal, that when we listen softly enough, the earth sings back. That truth lives in you now, as you rest here, quiet, safe, drifting. The hum has reached your bones, not as noise, but as rhythm. Inhale, exhale, listen. The song is not out there, it's in you. The villagers came to understand this. They no longer waited for the rain. They listened for the hum in the trees, in the clinking of cups, in the footsteps of a friend returning home. And when they dreamed, they did not seek escape, but reunion, with forgotten laughter, with quiet joys, with the selves they once were. And always, the dreams began the same way. A soft a stone circle, a voice inside the rain, singing without words. Let that image settle in you now. A courtyard, stone benches, worn by love, lanterns glowing faintly in the mist, rain falling like whispers on your skin, the well in the center, breathing, and you, kneeling before it, eyes closed, hearing the hum as it rises. Mahum, it matches your breath, it mirrors your stillness, it remembers you, just as you are. You are not lost. You were never lost. You were simply waiting to return. And now, as sleep deepens around you like a cloak of velvet, let go completely. No more questions, no more shape, just presence. Let the hum guide you. Let the rain cradle you. Let the well hold you in its dreaming arms. You are the listener. You are the lullaby. You are the silence between. And tonight, the well sings for you, and you alone. The seasons turn, as they always did, gently, quietly, as though following the rhythm of the rainwell's hum. In spring, the courtyard smelled of wet blossoms, lilac, snowdrop, wild rose, their fragrance mingling with the music, a symphony for those still dreaming. In summer, the air grew thick with warmth, and the rain, when it came, was slow and heavy, like a lullaby whispered in the low voice of thunder. In autumn, leaves circled the well's rim like pilgrims, returning to worship, each color a note, each fall a breath. And in winter, the snow fell so softly it was said the well's song could be seen, not heard. Delicate spirals of frost on stone, etching lullabies into ice. The children who grew up near the rainwell never feared the dark. They did not dread sleep, for they knew when they closed their eyes, they were not falling into nothingness. They were falling into the song. They often spoke of their dreams. One would say she flew on the back of a moth made of parchment. Another swam through ink-black rivers where stars floated just beneath the surface. And always, somehow, somewhere, the well was there. Its shape, its sound, its warmth, even in imagination, it remained a guide, a promise